In 2018, scientists discovered the fastest way to get the feather in 2012's La Mulana remake. Now, in the year 2022, the public has been asking, demanding, to know the same for the game's sequel, La Mulana 2, The Zeroth Body, the Ninth Spirit. Today, scientists have returned from their 3-year slumber to deliver an answer. Hi everybody, I'm Crep. Welcome to La Mulana 2. This is a game that came out in 2018, July 2018. A game that I played and then stopped playing in favor of just continually playing the first game. Why is that, you know? Obviously I really like La Mulana 1, but why don't I play La Mulana 2 as much? That's actually something I intend to explore in a later video, but maybe shades of it will come up here, you know? Who can say? Who can say? Eagle-eyed viewers may actually already be aware that this is not where La Mulana 2 normally starts. Normally, La Mulana 2 starts off at the surface, just like the first game. Lamisa drops in and has to talk with Elder Zelpud, and then venture forth into La Mulana ruins with a hand scanner. But she also has to talk to like other people that her dad didn't in the first game. There isn't actually much to do in the La Mulana ruins. You get to the Gate of Illusion, and one of the 4 philosophers, Phobos, is there, and he's like, "Oh, hi, I'm researching stuff, hello," and helps you make your way into the Egglana ruins, which is where we are now. That's where this game takes place. Welcome to Egglana. This is the roots of Yggdrasil, a pretty major area in Egglana. We will be back here multiple times for multiple reasons, you know, as you might be able to guess. Right now we are doing something that speaks to kind of one of my first issues with this game, unfortunately. La Mulana 2 starts off very constrained. You know how in the first game you wander into the Gate of Guidance, and yeah, there's stuff you can do there, but you could also just futz your way into the Mausoleum of the Giants or Temple of the Sun and just start doing things there too. Not really in this game. You can go through this door, which we're about to open, by beating this mid-boss, sub-boss, this room guardian, Needhog, which we are about to do. We're about to beat Needhog. Make sure I don't miss too many of my shurikens. I think it takes like 40 shuriken to beat Needhog, and if I miss too many, because I only came in here with 47, then that's kind of a problem, because Needhog actually flies away when you get close to him, which is a real problem. You can't really hit him with melee weapons, of which we only have the one. That's how it's going to be for a little bit, too. No lovely axe for us. We're stuck with our whip for a bit. Quite a bit, unfortunately. Let's be careful. I think I've missed too many already. Or I'm close to have missed too many. Just no good. Let's play a little safer. Take it a little slower against Needhog here. Don't go for optimal strats. Because I have my attention diverted because I'm talking right now. Kinda not smart. That's my advice to you. Just don't talk while you're playing video games. Well, we did it. I think that's nice. So we can go in this door now. That's what Needhog was guarding. And we exit the roots just temporarily to enter the Icefire Treetop. Very interesting area. If you're a fan of a little Freeze Easy Peaks or Freeze Flame Galaxy kind of place, well, you might not actually like the Icefire Treetops because it's much less hospitable than either of those two places, but La Mulana 2 is a much less hospitable game. That was our brief detour into somewhere other than the roots of Yggdrasil. As I was saying, La Mulana 2 starts off much more constrained than La Mulana 1. In order to go anywhere of significance, we have to set up and beat the area guardian, Fafnir. Which, you know, I'm working on it. We're making all these statues of women cry. I think they're goddesses. You know, they're some kind of goddesses, and we're making them cry. Not very kind of us, but sometimes you have to do unkind things in order to get ahead in the world, and sometimes in a video game you play the kind of character who does unkind things to get ahead in the world. It's just how it is. It's quite sad. Really a emotional, heart-rending story to have to play Lumisa Kosugi as she makes 3 goddess statues cry by whipping them in the face. We have to do this for a few reasons. Maybe I can describe them while we fight Fafnir, because there's not much to say about Fafnir as a boss. Now, the first thing is, Mulana 2 does this kind of interesting thing with its progression, where some areas have soul gates, as they're called, which only open for you if you've beaten a certain number of bosses total. Doesn't have to be any specific bosses, just has to be a number of them. And in order to leave the roots of Yggdrasil at all at the start of the game, you have to beat one boss. And the one boss you have access to is Fafnir, so it's very scripted for you. Mulana 2 is sitting there saying, hey, you gotta do this, you have to fight Fafnir. I'm just letting you know, it's for your own good, okay? Just... Mulana's out here trying to have her back, you know, make sure we understand what's going on, what we're gonna be doing for most of the game, because Mulana 2 really wants to reel in those newcomers, you know? Really wants to make sure that someone who's never played Mulana before can get invested in the game before it becomes too obtuse. And the way they thought to do that was to limit you such at the beginning of the game, compared to the first game at least, that you are required to do a handful of very specific things before you're allowed to make your own choices of where to go and the like. We almost died, but that's typical for me fighting Fafnir. Now, there are other ways out of the roots. Obviously, we went through that door to the Icefire Treetop, but it turns out you can't go anywhere from Icefire Treetop anyway. Like, actually, there's 2 exits, one of which you come through. The other one leads to the bottom right corner of another area, which is completely gated off. No way to get out of it from there. So, not really much you can do there. The other exits out of the roots of Yggdrasil involve items we don't have and can't get until we leave. So, seems like our path is very much determined for us here. Now that we've beaten the one boss, and we've gotten some important stuff, a Sacred Orb here, an Ankh Jewel there, which we already used, Shuriken, which we've been using for a bit. Let's leave behind the roots. But we are going to make one quick stop here, just to open up a shortcut for later convenient use. We'll be back. But for real, let's get out of the roots. We have somewhere more important to be. Now, as a result of the limited options for leaving the roots of Yggdrasil, it's also true that you have to come here at the start of the game. You beat Fafnir. The only option you have in front of you is going to the Divine Fortress, which is where we are now. I don't like this about Mulana 2. It really does open up soon, but it really was something I loved about the original Mulana, that at the very start of the game, you had a lot of different things you could do, and if you really wanted to start a run of Mulana by going directly to the Mausoleum of the Giants and just doing everything there, you could. There's not much stopping you. In fact, I don't think there's anything stopping you for the Mausoleum. Really, like, from the beginning of the game, you can go and beat the Gate of Guidance Guardian, Amphisbaena. You could beat the Mausoleum of the Giants Guardian, Sakit. You can beat the Temple of the Sun Guardian, Elmak. Really, there's a lot that's available to you. You could basically go to the Spring in the Sky also from the very beginning. You just can't get very far in because you don't have the helmet, which means you can't get past waterfalls pressing down on you with their weight of a lot of water. which you solve by getting exactly one item in an area you can get to from the Mausoleum of the Giants. So if you really wanted to, you could fight the Guardian of the Spring in the Sky, Bahamut, for your first boss. If you really wanted to. La Mulana 1 is not like the most open-ended game ever, but it gives you a lot of options out of the gate. And I can only assume that when developing this game, Nigoto felt either from like fan feedback, critical reception, or just their own decisions that they needed to have an opening to the game that was more contained so that players could feel certain that they're making progress, they know how to make progress. We're actually going to quickly step away to heal. We're very low, and we're going to buy just a few weights. Just a few. That should do. 27 is a good number. Divisible by 3, divisible by 9. Personal favorite number. Getting a lot of stuff out of the way at the start here. Feelings on La Mulana 2, but it's just I need to lay the groundwork a little bit. I wanna get these feelings out there because I have some small grievances with La Mulana 2. Let's go ahead and pick up this healing fairy. Why not? I could have waited to get it, to be honest. Actually, it's not gonna be very helpful for the next minute, but I got it anyway, and we'll have it for however long it chooses to hang around. Here in the Divine Fortress, we have a couple of things we have to get before we leave. In a normal full playthrough of La Mulana, the Divine Fortress has more going on than we're going to see here. For the purposes of this playthrough, the Divine Fortress is very much a pass-through kind of area. You come in, you get a couple things, you leave. One of these things being a handy little Sacred Orb. Increase our health even more. It's gonna come in handy. I'm telling you. Now, where was I? So La Mulana 1 is fairly open. There are a lot of things you can do just from the start of the game, which is really cool. La Mulana 2 requires that you beat its first boss. You do that, and then it requires that you go to the next area. You do that, and either you go directly through the area to another area, or you get the burst seal, and you go back to the roots, and you go somewhere else. That's your first real branch point. Now, in this case, we've gotten the burst seal because we're going to want it anyway. Not burst seal, the origin seal. Sorry, everyone. Every time I'm going to mix them up. But we got the origin seal, and we're going to truck along and head to the one area we can get to from the Divine Fortress, Valhalla. An area that doesn't literally have no exits to other areas, but basically doesn't. Let's actually head right first off, and then we'll come back and head down. Over here is Valhalla's Grail Point. You might notice, it looks kind of weird. It's all like dark color with the red outside. It's kind of a cool look, to be honest. But what this means, actually, if I get rid of the skeleton and then pause, is that we can't warp to that Grail Point. That sounds like a problem I'd like to fix within the next minute, so let's see if we can do that. It might be, fun, even. People who have been particularly observant may have noticed that the thing we had to do in order to get the Ankh to show up for Fafnir was destroy the thing that was torturing that guy who looks a little... malnourished? Let's go with malnourished. That was the Trickster. La Mulana 2 is based around a lot of Norse mythology, and some other mythologies as well, but mostly Norse mythology. I almost said North mythology. And the Trickster comes from stuff like that, like Valhalla comes from stuff like that. The Divine Fortress, I'm fairly certain, is based on stuff related to Norse with an S mythology. And I'll be completely honest, that sort of thing doesn't really interest me that much. We just picked up Future Development Company, which, conveniently, lets us warp to those special Grail tablets. Wow, it's almost like I planned this all out. So that's convenient. We can head back to Valhalla's tablet whenever we want now. So we're much like how I skipped over the beginning of the game just to kind of get on with things. Oh, did I ever finish talking about that? Mulana starts off with like a lot of character exposition. I think I mentioned that specifically. Sorry, I've been doing a bunch of takes tonight because I keep flubbing, and I'm already hitting the point where I'm forgetting what I haven't talked about. I skipped the beginning of La Mulana 2 because it just has no impact on what we're doing. It's unchanging, unflinching. So we're just going to move on, start directly at the roots, which we did, and we're already into interesting stuff now that we're here in Valhalla. I guess I'll just fall on those spikes, that's fine. This is the Trickster. Third time we've seen him, and it was actually kind of a bad thing that we let him loose, it turns out. So, oops. I guess we're gonna keep messing with him. That seems like reasonable, right? Again, I don't think we're playing a very good character. So, moving the Trickster around like that set up the Ankh for the boss of this area, which kind of makes it clear that the devs really did want you to go directly from the roots of Yggdrasil to the Divine Fortress to here in Valhalla, because it's really sequential. It just all follows. All right, well, we did all that. Let's go ahead and just warp directly to the Grail point here. You might notice that origin seal on the wall, waiting for us. It's exactly what we need to do next. We had to go around and beat these two little armor guys, who are the children of this sub-boss, Vakub Kakui. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's a lot of names in this game that I'm certain I'm not pronouncing right. Can you, like, stop? Oh, you're being protected by your parents' legs. Get out from under there. There we go. So even though we killed them, they're posing issues. I have some shuriken. I'm, like, definitely going to die right now. Yeah, okay. Well, the nice thing is I literally just auto-saved. 44 health, I could absolutely beat this sub-boss on that. I just, you know, I just have to kind of do it. Part of that is going to be being a little smart and not getting hit by these kicked projectiles so much. So let's toss all of our shuriken at these two. Well, I tossed all of my shuriken at them, so... Okay, well that sort of worked out. Let's be careful not to jump directly at the boss. That's going to result in a lot of problems. Now, like with a lot of things in La Mulana 2, you can take things much more patiently than I am, and dodge projectiles more often, which I'm starting to do right now just because, you know, kind of playing it dangerously here. Alright, well, that allowed for progress for us. Putting a weight on that pedestal, that dais is going to move a couple of walls and allow us to progress here. Oh, would you look at that, a full heal. How convenient. It means I actually don't have to leave in order to heal before fighting the boss here. Hi, Trickster. Thank you for summoning more bosses for me to fight. Let's get on it. This boss is Vritra. And Vritra is a bit of a pain, especially this early on in the game. You can wait to fight Vritra, but we get some good stuff for doing it, so we're gonna start off here. Vritra is one of those bosses where they're always approaching you and you have to be on the move all the time. You have to do a lot of careful positioning in order to hit them. Now, if I had Shuriken, I could make use of a lot of that here, but I don't, so I won't. Being in the water is also not great because it hurts us, and getting out is annoying. Getting out of the water is really annoying in La Mulana 2, unfortunately. They changed how the water physics worked from the first game, And it leads to some issue problems, I would say. If I had to put, like, a word to it. Something like issue problems. We're nearing the end, you can tell, because Vritra decided to speed up and decide to smack me with its jaw. So we'll give that another shot. One really nice thing that Mulana 2 does is it respawns you after you die to a boss, right at the Unk, right where you were, with your health right where it was too. Very kind. Especially given that Mulana 2 has more load times than the first game does. Significantly more load times than the first game does. So if it sent you back to your last save, your last autosave, that'd be a little insult to injury with having to wait for load times and then having to make your way back to the boss also. That 4 fireball projectile is really annoying, to be honest, since it destroys all the platforms like that. I need to be careful because contact damage from Vritra is much more of a problem than the fireball damage. You can see getting hurt by the fireballs is one thing. Getting hurt by Vritra's jaw does a lot more. Now I have first tried this before on practice runs, but like the execution is kind of tight. Oh, come on. That was a really poor way to start this fight off. Cool, one hit and then I get hit. This is a bad run. This is a bad run. I can maybe salvage it. This is a pretty bad run. One really nice thing is that because the whip hits above you like that, there's a lot you can get out of, oh, come on. Out of trying to hit Vritra while retreating. Getting them in the face with the top of your whip lasso. Whip twirl. And then sometimes Vritra knocks you backward. Like really knocks you backward and guarantees that you're just gonna get hit from touching them again. I gotta admit, don't really like this boss. There's aspects I like about it, but it's stuff like the occasional really high backwards knockback that like feels out of nowhere. Like it doesn't make any sense with what's going on. Ooh, I thought I jumped too early there, but I didn't, it turned out. See, that was a good cycle for getting a bunch of hits in. Ooh, I haven't gotten hit there, which is really surprising. Your head's really still, Vritra. I was wondering when you were going to shoot that fireball. Usually it's a sign that they're going to shoot. Oh no. Okay, let me out. It can be really scary to get out of the water when Vritra's moving this quickly. Ooh, okay, I'm surprised that I'm alive. But that'll do it. Once Vritra's in the pinch mode, it doesn't take that many hits, but because they can get close to you so quickly, and they have all these ways of doing damage to you that are frustrating and quick, and sometimes don't have great tells, it can be hard to actually have the time to get those hits in. Okay, now we want to get out of Valhalla as quickly as possible before this low piano note gets to us. That could have been dangerous. Now that we've beaten Vritra, someone we haven't met on the surface yet, which to be fair, you haven't met anyone, I skipped all the surface stuff, is one of the other philosophers, Alcidana, who's bedridden, but has this lovely little Behirit for us. I didn't mean to repeat your dialogue, I'm so sorry. We are going to take that back to Valhalla. Very useful item. Thank you so much, Alcidana. Go ahead and set that to our usable item so that we can perchance use it. And unlike with Fafnir, we actually do want what is in Vritra's chest. So we will make our way back there with the Beharit in hand. Though that's not what we're using the Beharit for. The Beharit is going to absorb this low piano note, which we will need. But that'll come into play. That'll come into play later. I wanted to say into effect, and I realized that's not actually the turn of phrase I'm looking for. So, we've beaten 2 bosses. We have ourselves a Birth Seal and a Scale Sphere, which, if you remember from the first game, that makes the poisonous water no longer harm us. Which is quite nice, but not required for progression. I just wanted to have it. Oh, I didn't need to go this way. I literally opened the shortcut for myself. Hold on. Come on, I can't do this. Besides, I was about to land on spikes. I literally opened up a shortcut for myself. I did this. In fact, we just go down here. See? I did planning and stuff. And yet, I spaced. So we can head all the way back here to the Soul Gate to the Divine Fortress. And one screen over is this convenient little origin seal on the wall. This allows us access to a new area. Onavan. Here we will find, like, sort of useful item that we will 100% require in order to make progress in a couple of places. We'll go ahead and save here as well. But the more important aspect of this area is that it's going to get us to 2 very important areas for what we're trying to do. First off, we have a mandatory story cutscene with Mulbrook. She's a funny little girl. Actually, it turns out she's like 1,000 of years old. And she's also like not that young, so it doesn't feel like the weird kind of actually I'm 1,000 years old. She was also... I didn't mean to do that. She was also sleeping in stone for a very long time, and is also just kind of a sleepy person, though less so in this game. She's around. We're not going to be doing anything with her, but we did have to say hi to her. We did have to learn of her existence. And now we had to get the glove, which we have. So we have the glove, and what that means is that we have the glove. Luckily, that also means that we have the glove. So, since we have the glove, we can push these blocks around, and that's going to allow us access to this left side of Onavan, or this leftmost room, and is also going to allow us to do something in a later area that's very important. Once again, the origin seal being a gate that... I mean, we have it, so it's not really a problem at this point. It is possible to get into Onavan... Actually, is it? Is it possible to get into Onavan without having that seal? I don't believe so, the more I think about it. Regardless of the answer to that, I mean, I know there's an entrance to Onavan from the roots that involves a different item and not the seal, but I don't know if you can get the item that you use there without going to Onavan. I'd really have to think on that, but that's outside the scope of what I'm doing today. For now, here we are in the Shrine of the Frost Giants. This area is actually quite important. We'll be getting some really pivotal items here, starting with going over here to the left. This is, by the way, why we had to buy so many weights. We needed them immediately. This area is the weight tax area. Multiple times you'll be presented with just gate after gate after gate that require trigger with a weight. Or something like this, where in order to get an item, you have to put a weight down. Or, in fact, as we'll see in a moment, a puzzle you have to solve by putting 3 weights down. It's quite silly. That's what you get for a gimmick in this area. It's not like the only gimmick here, but because there's like ice and stuff, that's a gimmick, that counts. But it really is a major aspect of this area. So we picked up the rapier, that's gonna be our item, just period, from now on. I want to get out of this room. I accidentally triggered that. I didn't want to. These enemies are going to be a huge problem if I don't get rid of them while I'm trying to solve this puzzle. They're going to be a huge problem while I'm solving the puzzle if I don't get rid of them now. The rapier is great. It has very slightly longer reach than the whip. It also hits behind us, which is kind of fun, instead of above us. And it does a little more damage. It's no axe, but it will get the job done. Here, we have to put weights on all 3 of these pedestals before this wall comes to crush us. We can actually get out in time. But if you can't, if you get trapped in that lower corner, you can just warp out. Not a huge deal. The puzzle is solved once you put those weights down. We get another Ankh Jewel. Just what we needed. Honestly, we actually do very much need that. It saves us a trip to go somewhere else. It takes a little longer and basically became unnecessary as soon as I remember that Ankh Jewel was there. I mean, we're not going to use it for what I guess you're expected to use it for in this area. I mean, this area doesn't have a boss. You presumably use that Ankh Jewel somewhere else. But I don't remember what you do in all of La Mulana 2. I only remember how to do this route to get the feather. And that's what we're doing. Oh no, I fell off the platform. Well, I guess I'm going to bust up this frog. Is that a frog or just some other kind of reptilian creature? It's like a bipedal frog, maybe. We do have to wait for this platform, unfortunately. I guess I could have gone up the other one, but like, I really didn't want to. I didn't want to have to take that platform all the way up, because if I take this one up, we can get where we need to just by jumping only this high. You need height and speed in order to get through those thick snow patches. Oh no, do not kill me. Alright, we're gonna be fine. It's really only those 2 enemies, the Yeti and, you know, I think its name was just on screen because I saw it. I saw that I picked up the glossary item for it, but I didn't see it, so I guess we just won't know. These ice people with their ice magic that sucks and I hate them. Hooray! The burst sigil, the actual burst sigil, not the origin sigil. We're gonna heal again. But we're making a lot of important, really important progress. It's not the same, but I do like to think about the way some of the steps in this have analogs to the steps you go through in La Mulana 1 to get the feather. I did just say the rapier is no axe, but it effectively is our axe here. It's going to be doing some heavy lifting in making getting through the ruins areas just a little easier, just for the fact that it does a little bit more damage. Kind of a big deal. The whip is so... It's just not that great. The whip is just not that great. It's certainly better than pelting everything with shuriken, but anything's better than pelting everything with shuriken. I actually really wanted to go up there, but that's okay. We can do that later. Let's start by going down. We're really into the meat of the Icefire treetop now. All of that's below us. The worst thing that they added to La Mulana 2. Maybe not true, maybe that's hyperbole. I don't like it. It's one of my least favorite things. It's poison lava. The reality of it. Oh no, don't knock me in. Oh my god. Firsthand. You got to see firsthand. That's what poison lava does. It's effectively instant death. If you are truly lucky, you can get out of it quickly enough to scrape by with just a little bit of your life. That didn't happen this time. We were not lucky. So back up we go. I suppose this is just another chance for me to actually remember what I'm trying to do and do this other thing first. The Grapple Claw, which we picked up earlier, actually lets us grapple onto pillars that are smooth and shiny, and these giant icicles actually count. We're able to do just that with them, which is interesting. They are still slippery though, so we ended up kind of sliding down a little bit as we tried to kick off them. But if you're speedy, that's not a huge problem. Hi Garm, please jump off for me, thank you. You may have mentioned, I don't think you mentioned anything to me. If you'd like to mention something to me, the comment section is down below. You may remember me mentioning earlier that there's somewhere else we can go to from the Icefire treetop, even though it is an enclosed area that doesn't let us go very far. There's actually one thing that we want to get here that we couldn't get until we had the rapier. So that we have that. We're gonna make a brief detour. This is the Immortal Battlefield. We'll be doing much more here later, but not in this area. This area is very small, and all it has for us is the dinosaur figure. We get that, and we go. Time to make the trek back to the Icefire treetop again. There's no simpler way to get back to where we want to be. If we tried to go back through that upper part of the Icefire treetop to get to the lower portion again, it would be pretty risky. Doing so is very awkward, and there's a lot of kind of dangerous, very dangerous enemy situations in our way. So it's just a lot safer to head back here, coming through the entrance from the roots. Now we really do need to head this way. This is going to take us to the left side of the Icefire treetop. Just, provided we don't fall in the poison lava. It's a very helpful thing when that doesn't happen to us, I find. Now, there are also smarter ways to head through this section than just gunning it like I'm doing, but when you get the right setup, it's just better. It's just easier. Unfortunately, that enemy is pretty much always positioned to hurt you when you come in, which is really annoying. I don't know why they did that aside from just spite. Okay, we gotta make a jump on this hot platform. Beautiful. Further to the left, there's exactly one thing we need, and we're going to get it. Both the things that we're getting on this kind of general trip to the Icefire treetop, we could not have gotten until we got literally almost all the things we just got in the Shrine of the Frost Giants. Almost literally. The one thing that really didn't have any impact on this was the Ankh Jewel. The rapier got us the dinosaur figure, and you might notice that yellow lit up seal on the wall there. That was our very own birth seal, which is now going to allow us to open this chest. Thank you everyone for being a pain in my butt, which will give us the life sigil. Thank goodness. Let's get out of here. Oh, don't like this place one bit. Do not need it in my life. Luckily, that's all that we're doing there. We don't have to go back. We are, though, about to make a trip back to the Shrine of the Frost Giants for one very, very required item. I've picked up very little extraneous on this run so far. I think, if you really want to be specific about it, I didn't have to get the 2 sacred orbs that I picked up. I'm gonna get a 3rd. So, I don't know, if you can manage to do everything that I'm going to do today on 32 health, good for you, great for you, but I don't think I can. Here we're dealing with these 3 women. I don't know their names. I presume they have them, but I don't know them. So we don't get a name card or anything for them, unlike what we did with Needhog. Whoa! She fell on the platform! I've never seen that happen before. That's cool. All 3 of these ladies fall to the ground when you deal enough damage to them. which I've only done for one of them so far. Man, usually that one sticks around a lot longer too. Okay. There we go. And then they merge together and form Batted Cat. It's a mini-boss we must deal with. Now, the nice thing about Batted Cat is that she's very manipulable. She doesn't really like it when you're standing near her. Normally she fires off projectiles after a moment, but like, I don't know, you're right there. She's not like a close-range fighter, so having you up in her space kind of bothers her, so we're just going to keep doing that. And she won't really do anything to us. It's kind of awesome, actually. Really helpful. Thank you, Batted Cat, for being just super helpful. Beating her allows us to go up here, where we can break this life seal. And now using our lovely Grapple Claw, we'll head over here to get into this room. And now we're going to get the most important chest item, the Pachette Key. We will 100% need that key. Okay, we're going to travel back to Onavin now. We're going to go to now the most important area for this run, I would say. And honestly, compared to Mulana 1, where you spend a lot of time in the Temple of the Sun and Temple of Moonlight for getting the feather, things are a little more spread out here, which is kind of interesting. We'll still be spending kind of the same amount of time in this next area as we've been doing in some other areas, but it's still the most important. We're back to the Immortal Battlefield. You did not get to see enough of it the first time. Over here on this left room, we are picking up a very, very useful tool for our needs. It's honestly just kind of a good item in general, but we're going to be very reliant on it. This is our second sub-weapon, the Earth Spears. We switch over to them. Let's toss one down right there, which grants us passage back to the room we were just in. Which is great. We actually don't want to do anything else on that left side. Whatever's going on over there doesn't matter. Now we start with 10, and we already used one. This pot is going to go us another 10. But I don't know, does anyone else feel like that's just too few Earth Spears? I think we could stand to have like a little more of a safety net. That seems good. Hanging out in the water here is Cetus, another sub-boss that we have to deal with. Somewhere around like 10 Earth Spears, I believe, will do the job. Oh, less than that even. What was that, like a total of 7 that actually hit? I missed one? Interesting. Cetus is over and done with, and we continue to progress over here. I don't know who those two guys are, but it doesn't really impact me. So we'll just let them do whatever they're doing. They keep leaving books around the place. I don't read, so like whatever's going on there, it doesn't matter to me. Now the nice thing is we have to fight the boss here too, but setting up the boss in the Immortal Battlefield is quite simple. Step 1 was releasing the water into the rest of the area. That's quite easy. Step 2, after we get this, our next Sacred Orb, very useful, is literally just entering this screen and witnessing Jormungand's mural rise. That's it. We can get out of here. Yeah, we can just get out of here, I think. Maybe I wanted to go up from that screen. Maybe I don't. Kind of forgot. Let's go over here. No, I wanted to go over here. Perfect. So, you might not recognize it, but this is actually a doorway we can go into. If we come here without the dinosaur figure, it would actually be closed off. You see, I'm thinking ahead. I'm getting stuff before we know that we need it. This is Indra. Indra sucks. Indra's like the leader of the people who live here and are at war here in the Immortal Battlefield, whatever to them. But Indra does something important, which is reveal Jormungand's Ankh for us. Thank you, Indra. I will never be thanking you again. Now that we have that all set up, let's go fight a third boss, why not? I mean, you know, what's the harm? In truth, there's only things to gain from doing this. Much like how Vritra gave us the Scale Sphere, Jormungand will also give us an item, but what he has is much, much more important. Theoretically, we could have gone this whole time without picking up the Scale Sphere, but it would have been kind of annoying. We are going to quickly hop into our menu, pick up the Pachette Key, start our machine. Now, Jormungand is completely pattern-based. If you know what Jormungand is going to do, you know what Jormungand is going to do. That was a very silly way to put it, but like, it's very easy to memorize the exact things that Jormungand does the entire fight. And as such, knowing where Jormungand goes means that you can follow him and get in a lot of shots, such as all these Earth Spears I'm chucking at him. Makes for quite the quick kill. Now, a lot of bosses in Mulana 2 got made easier, or even just like a little different over the course of revisions and patches. I don't know if Jormungand was always this easy to beat with just knowing his pattern, but I sure struggled with him my first time playing this game, so it's very satisfying to take him out like that. Third boss. Not bad. We are also almost done. Where in La Mulana 1 you would get the Serpent Staff from Anubis, and you would know immediately, ah, now I can go fight Argus, and the feather's waiting right beyond him. Well, now, we just picked up Mjolnir. So let's head back to Valhalla for very specific reasons. Mjolnir is a very interesting item in that it allows you to absorb divine lightning from the divine retribution eyes that are around the ruins and shoot it back out at enemies, or in some cases other things. We're going to actually go back to the Beherit. This is the reason that we got it to begin with, and use it on this door. It turns this dial. Interesting. This is the Corridor of Blood. Our first entrance to it that we can get to is here in Valhalla, but it links to a lot of different places. A handful of areas have a Corridor of Blood door, and having the Beherit with the dissonance, the low piano note absorbed, lets us change where the Corridor of Blood leads to in this septagonal shape. Why have I forgotten the name for a six-sided thing? Because sept is 7, right? Sept is 7. Oh, hexagonal. Duh. Well, anyway. Let's go ahead and pull Mjolnir out. We're going to need some lightning on our side right now to shoot this thing. That up there is Angra Mainyo, a really strange sub-boss that we actually can't hurt at all, completely outside of our range, but we can do is pick up lightning. And, we're getting hurt a lot right here. Send it right at this thing. Will you, leave me alone? Persistent. Send it right at this thing, which will close some walls in on Angra Mainyo. And doing that is what's going to lead us to victory against this sub-boss. Thank you for getting one final hit in on me at the very end. And now we can leave this room. We're just going to casually wait for this enemy to leave the vicinity. It's just going to be a pain. Get in our way. We don't want to leave this spot because you might notice it's too high for us to jump back up to. We want to chuck our spears down here. You see that tablet, that tablet is the key to us opening this chest. And by key, it's actually a door, and the Earth Spears are the key that we're opening the tablet with. The feather. Hooray. Now, maybe it's just me, but compared to the first game, getting the feather here in this area with how it looks and how the music is doesn't feel quite as triumphant. So let's take our accomplishment back to the surface, the Village of Departure. Much better. Hey everyone, I can jump in the air now. Hey Zelpud. Thanks for telling me about Mjolnir because I still have it equipped. No, I don't want to hear anything from you ever again. Let us celebrate our accomplishment by taking it and immediately getting something that we can only get now that we have it. This upper part of the surface is only reachable in Mulana 2 with the feather, I believe. I don't think you can get up to this screen without it. So we take it over here, and we're just gonna fall down this chasm. There we go, just out in the open. A sacred orb for us. 160 health. Delicious. Well, everyone, that was my little Mulana 2 experiment, routing out how to get to the feather as quickly as possible. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, I'm glad that you did. And if you did, I'm glad that you did. And if you didn't, get out of here! Come on! You're ruining the vibe.